What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on a Saturday. Lots of sports happening today. Baseball, college football, MMA in the sphere. Interesting. Hopefully that is like a big event. I wish the matches were a little bit better. Doesn't seem like it's the biggest thing for that. But anyway, we're here for some baseball talk. We got a couple more weeks of this left. We've got Tim. We've got TJ. I'm Britt. TJ, what's going on today, dude? I hear it seems like the RotoGrinders team is I can't play college football DFS in New York. At least I don't. It's been that way for a long time. I'm not sure if they changed it. But it seems like both of you are having a good day. I hear Cheese is in the lead of one of the big tournaments out there. Seems like the RotoGrinders crew is having a good day in the college football streets.
Yeah, I produced the college football show this morning, and both John and Jordan were very sharp with their picks today. Jordan Vanek recommended it was his first time on the college football pre-lock, and he recommended that everybody play Jalen Milroe with Alabama and stack him up, and he absolutely lit it up today. And so having a good day as well. I'm a 2v2 off of Cheese's team, so I'm 10xing right now. I'm not quite going to be winning the big bucks like he is, but as it stands right now, he is winning the 50K up top.
Yeah, I know Tim was having some good sports bets from the Scores and Odds team.
Yep.
Seems like a good week all around on the college football streets for RotoGrinders.
Yeah, I mean it was really nice. I had some nice picks from Eric Beimfor and Jordan Vanek. I follow both those guys pretty religiously on Saturdays since I know absolutely nothing about college football and I like to have the sweat. So yeah, it's been a good day for me in the betting streets.
Well, let's roll this forward into baseball, guys. So we've got a fun slate today. I want to start off. Here it would help if I want TJ to screen share. It would be helpful if I gave him access to my screen. Wouldn't that be helpful, TJ?
There we go.
We've got some weather in this Atlanta game. We're waiting on Roth. I've got Roth's Twitter pulled up. I haven't seen an update from him. If anyone sees something, please post it in YouTube. Ping me in Discord, something so that we can get this out because we have two of the best pitchers on the slate in this game. Roth has it orange and yellow. He hasn't changed this from early this morning. I'm waiting to see what he says on this. Tim, what's your take real quick early? What are you doing with Flaherty? What are you doing with Sale based on this current weather? I could try to pull up some radar, but usually Atlanta is just these spotty storms. So a little useless for me. Need Roth in here.
Yeah, I mean, he actually increased the risk this afternoon. So earlier it was yellow-orange. Now it's orange-yellow. It's becoming a little bit more concerning for me. As I sit here right now, I'm not going to play either one of them because, I'm just too worried about this rain. I'm too worried about, the uncertainty of this game playing, the normal amount of innings or, having to start then stop and, start again. That whole, situation. So right now I don't have either one. I think if I was MMEing, I would definitely be sprinkling them in. I had a lot of interest in Jack Flaherty today, but I'm just not going to play him now.
TJ, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I'm not playing it all either. I'm only playing one lineup today, and I actually hadn't planned on playing either of the pitchers anyways, and so I kind of hope we don't get any clarification. People play them, and then the weather just kind of rains it out.
All right, so that might take an 8-game slate down to 7. Pay attention to that. Again, if anyone sees a Roth tweet, please post it in YouTube, ping me in Discord, let us know. So with that out of the way, Tim, I want to go to you. We talk, more of the safety cash games. We can get into some tournament talk too as well. With Sale and Flaherty, both questionable due to weather. We have a clear Logan Gilbert sitting at the top. He was my top option anyway. I think the RotoGrinders projections and the bat also have him very clearly ahead of the other two. What are we doing with Gilbert here? What's your ownership? I mean, he's my FanDuel guy. He's on my DraftKings team for cash and what little cash action you can get nowadays as the season comes to a close. He's the clear SB1. I think, pretty easily attainable on both sides today too.
Yeah, I mean, with Flaherty and Sale, in my opinion, not cash game viable. I think Logan Gilbert at 10-3 on FanDuel and 9-9 on DraftKings is the clear and obvious SB1 on the slate. It's definitely, it seems like there's quite a few arms on this slate, but there really isn't. Like when we lost Sale and Flaherty, we lost two of the best pitchers in baseball, really. So it definitely just thins out pretty quickly now, and so we're kind of have to just use what we're left with. And I think in terms of safety, it's Gilbert and Musgrove. And I think honestly, even on FanDuel, Musgrove at 9,400, he's cash game viable also if you don't have that $900. So I think you could go to Musgrove in cash, but I would try to get to Gilbert first.
Yeah, Gilbert's the clear take. Is he your pitcher of choice, TJ, for tournaments as well? I would assume if you're playing one lineup, you're starting that with Gilbert today.
Yeah, starting there with Gilbert, I'd probably go there even if I was playing 150. I'd probably have him in near 100%, if not 100% today. He's in the best spot. Texas without Seager, not scary at all. And he's not that expensive. He's not that hard to get to. So Gilbert is the guy today. What do you guys think I should do for my single entry today? Should I go Neto and McMahon, or should I go Swanson and Paredes and do the little mini chalky Cub stack?
Chalky Cub stack sounds pretty chalky today.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 2 players, though. It's the 2 players. It's like, do I do that little correlation there? Do I go McMahon and Neto?
I don't know.
Anybody?
I mean, the Cubs are clearly going to be very chalky today. At some point, it becomes which Cubs there's too many Cubs you want to use today. It's like, how many can you actually fit into a lineup? But I'd probably still take
it's 2 or 0.
Yeah, well, I'd probably have you. I think you'd want to have some Cubs exposure on a single entry. If that would be my takedown.
That's what I have right now. I'll just stick with it.
All right, Tim, I'm going to bounce it back to you for starting pitching here. So I know you like Musgrove as your SP2 on DraftKings. If, let's say, you wanted to delve a little deeper, let's say you wanted to play another bat or two, a couple of the cheaper options, older Justin Verlander, we've got JT Ginn against the White Sox today. Probably not going to play Max Scherzer even against a strikeout-prone Seattle lineup. Don't really see too much upside for him today. Who would you rather play out of that crew if you're just digging a little bit lower to get a more expensive hitter in there?
Yeah, so I think if I'm not going to go Musgrove, and then obviously we have Fott right there also at 8,400, but if I'm going to go below like the 8K region, I'll probably start with JT Ginn at 7,200 against this awful White Sox team. I know Verlander has a tremendous matchup, and he does like have a more solid leash than Ginn, but it's hard to trust Verlander. So I'd probably go Ginn over Verlander, and then I would consider even Nick Martinez at 6,200 just as like a pure punt. But yeah, I mean, I don't really like any of those guys in like a cash game setting. But I think you can't play Scherzer today. He's on too much of a pitch count, so he's not going to get enough pitches to be viable. So I think you should just X him right out. And then everybody Tobias Myers against the Diamondbacks, I have absolutely no interest in. I have no interest in the Coors pitchers. I have no interest in Tyler Anderson. So I have no interest in Chris Flexen even though the A's are going to be pretty chalky, I think. So there's quite a few pitchers that I would probably comfortably just like hit the exclude button on.
All right, we're at 35 likes. Let's get up to 50. We'll get a Spidey bomb from TJ in a little bit. We'll talk offense in just a few seconds, but first, we were telling you guys about college football, how the team was doing good about there. If you want access to that and everything else, you can get RotoGrinders Premium. You can get NFL Premium if you want that. That's also pretty good. You can get a 6-month combo sub for $470. That saves you $250 instead of buying 6 individual months. The combo premium gets you basically everything. If you're not a fan of commitment, you can get a month of RotoGrinders Premium for $120. And if you want a test run, you can get 3 days, $19.99. Football is coming up. If you want to get access to all the articles, NFHQ, all that fun stuff, the Sims, you can get a little quick run for just $19.99. All right, let's talk offense. Obviously, we have the Coors game. I think the Cubs are going to be a little bit more, not just a little bit more, much more heavily owned than Colorado today. Colorado against Kion also, to me, seems like it's going to be a reasonably good outing for them as well. You've got Oakland against Flexen. Brent Rooker, what a year he's having. Almost a priority bat for me today, even maybe more so than over some of the Coors bats. We'll see what the other two hosts think on that. TJ, I'll start it with you for tournaments. Where would we be looking for offense today between the Cubs? We've got Oakland. You've got Colorado as well. These teams are going to eat up so much ownership. Is there anyone you'd want to have more or less of than the field? And then do you have a couple of the lower owned teams you might want to be interested in?
Oakland is my favorite of the group. I think I'd probably be under on Minnesota as far as the chalky teams, probably the Cubs as well. If I were playing more lineups, I do have 2 Cubs players in my lineup right now, but if I were playing more, I would be going underweight on them, overweight on Oakland, overweight on Houston, and overweight on the Angels. I really like the Angels today for tournaments, despite the pretty low total. I like Colorado quite a bit for tournaments, and then the Diamondbacks as well.
And Tim, for cash games, most of it's, I said this, it's how many A's and Cubs can you get into your lineup today? I think for the most part, the A's give you cheap and some upside going up against the White Sox. The Cubs are a little bit price elevated on both sides today, but they're in cores against a bad pitcher. That's pretty much where your entire lineup should be formed from.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much the Cubs and Oakland, and then possibly maybe a Rocky, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So yeah, definitely pretty simple slate in terms of like cash games type stuff. The Cubs are going to be extremely high owned. I think it's only an 8-game slate. Could possibly go down to 7. So I mean, I think the Cubs are going to get quite a bit of steam. I'm with TJ. Obviously I like the Athletics quite a bit. I like the Astros quite a bit. Like Tyler Anderson is reverse splits, like Justin talked about in his article. And so Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez are fantastic plays, and they're expensive. So could be that not a lot of people click them, but I think they're fantastic. Just as like a two-person stack at Houston, I love them. I don't know. I think if I wanted to get really, really weird, I would consider Seattle against Scherzer, just because Scherzer is only going to pitch like 60 pitches, and he could potentially give up a couple home runs, and then all of a sudden you see the bullpen. And I think Seattle's like an interesting way of getting different on the slate if I was playing in an MME setting.
All right, we got past 50 likes, so let's get Spidey Bomb 1 out of the way. We'll set Tier 2 at 75, and I'll drop some NFL bets for you at 75 as well if you're looking for anything for that. Not on any shows over the weekend. I am doing the show on Monday, TJ, so if you are on that pod, are you going to be producing the Monday NFL show?
Which Monday NFL show?
Oh, oh my goodness, with Chief. And,
yes, I'll be anyways, because I'm Steve on Monday, so I'll be doing the daytime and the evening ones.
So I'll see you on Monday. I'll have some bets for this weekend. I'll give them to you if we get up to 75 likes. But let's get to Spidey Bomb number 1, TJ.
Plus 400, Lawrence Butler is Spidey Bomb number 1. I love me some A's today, so Lawrence Butler is the first one at plus 400.
Yeah, plus 400 for Butler seems pretty reasonable. Given when he can, that's at FanDuel, Caesars, Fanatics, MGM, basically across the board. Open up your sportsbook app. He's probably at plus 400 on that. All right, let's go position by position. We'll start at catcher. Normally, someone said Roth tweeted. Let me find Mr. Kevin Roth. Let me see here, and I will try to bring this on for everybody. Trying to go from TweetDeck to Twitter. Not the greatest, so let me bring up Twitter. Give me just a second, guys. Let me find Kevin Roth. Twitter. I never use actual Twitter. I only use TweetDeck. Does anyone else? Do you guys pay to be able to use TweetDeck?
Yeah, so the light rain south of Atlanta will head over the ballpark around or just after first pitch and stick around all night. My best guess at this point is that they just play through the light rain, but guess is the key word in that sentence. That is from Kevin Roth.
Let's take a look. I mean, it's just the park's right here. You can sort of see the light rain brewing. I see what he's talking about here. What does that do for you, Tim? Because you were sort of off of this a little bit more. Does this bring them back into play as a guess? I think Roth's guesses are generally pretty good. And this is a game, I mean, they need to play this game. There's a lot to play for in this game for both teams. There's not a lot of days to make things up. I would expect they're going to want to play this game as long as it's not a downpour. If Roth says it's light, he's guessing they play. I would be okay probably playing at this, looking at the radar and getting Rostick.
Yeah, I think I'm still gonna stick with Gilbert and Musgrove, but I certainly am not gonna fault anybody if they want to take this risk. It doesn't seem like a huge deal. A little bit better tone than I thought he would have. So I certainly wouldn't fault anybody, but I'm gonna stay with who I have. But that's my money. People can do what they want with theirs.
I have Gilbert personally. I have Gilbert over both of them anyway. If you wanted TJ in an MME setting or a tournament setting, people may have been scared off. Roth does. I think he controls, especially in weather games, what a lot of people do. So if someone was seeing this earlier and saw it orange and didn't get the update, maybe they're staying away here. To me, this opens the door a little bit more to use them. What would be your take on them?
Yeah, if I were building more lineups, I'd probably be making sure that I get them in today. There's just, I don't think outside of Gilbert, I don't think there's anybody outside of Flaherty and Sale who actually have big upside today. Now, I don't like the matchups anyways, and so I probably wouldn't get a ton, but I'd be making sure I get a little bit of them in tournaments just because I don't see anybody else with the same type of ceiling. Like Gilbert's the only guy I really love, but I still think I would rather, as opposed to pairing Gilbert with a Sale or a Sale or a Flaherty and having no money left, I think I'd still rather use Bott, Musgrove, Ginn, Martinez.
Right. So there's a quick take on the weather from the three of us. Do what you will with that. It seems like Roth, if I had to guess, Roth would probably put this back to a yellow-orange. I don't know if that's what's on the page, but that's probably based off his wording. I think he would reverse the orange as the first color, which is always a red flag to me, and go with the yellow-orange, which certainly would make me a little bit safer to play, but I'm just guessing that. Didn't actually look at the page myself. All right, catcher. Normally, we don't want to play catchers too much on FanDuel, TJ, but Langoliers is 2,700. He's looking pretty juicy today. I think he's a reasonable play on DraftKings too. There are some cheaper options on DraftKings. You've got Goodman at 3,100. You've got a couple other cheap plays. You got O'Hoppy's 3,600. Who I think if you think Verlander's more toast than a real life Major League Baseball pitcher anymore, I think he's reasonably good. What do you like at catcher?
Yeah, Langelier, I think, is definitely the top individual option today, but he is going to be pretty chalky. And so my favorite for tournaments is actually Logan O'Hoppy. He's the guy that I like the most today, with Langelier coming second, Hunter Goodman a close third. Those are the only three that would be main targets for me today. I'd probably try and avoid the chalk of the Houston catchers, and then outside of O'Hoppy, Goodman, and Langoliers, just play whoever's in my stack.
Yeah. And Tim, what are you doing overall at catcher?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go Langoliers or Hunter Goodman, who's 3,100. He's catcher outfield on DK. Obviously, strongly prefer him at the catcher spot. So he's definitely in the conversation for any format. I really like where'd he go? Yeah, no, I guess I really like Cal Raleigh too. I don't think that Seattle stack's going to be owned at all whatsoever. So I think at 4,500, that's an interesting tournament play. But the primary target should be Langoliers or Hunter Goodman.
All right, we'll get to first base in just a second. I told you about RotoGrinders Premium. Something you get in that is SimLabs. You can also get the SimLabs mobile app, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. Just got even better in addition to the desktop tool on the web. You can now download the SimLabs mobile app from your app store and use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand. Available to combo and single sports subs, or you can buy it a la carte in the app store as well. If you want to get in on the Sims, go check that out. SimLabs, you can get it with RotoGrinders Premium or get it on your own. All right, let's go to first base. Enter cores. So we've got, I don't know, it's maybe not all cores. You've got Toglia, I forgot how to pronounce his name, on DraftKings. You've got a couple cheap options too. You've got a Seth Brown, Tim. You've got, who is it, Jake Bowers. He's up there at 3,100 too. If you're saving, just not really right. Normally we're pounding in Ohtani, we're pounding in Freeman, we're spending a lot of money at first base. Don't know if we're really doing that today, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to spend up at first base at all. Obviously, you can always play guys in cores, but I mean, Patrick Wisdom at 3,800, I think that's a relatively good price for him, right in the middle of that lineup for cash games. I think that's fantastic. I like Christian Walker quite a bit for tournaments. Don't mind the Seth Brown call if you really want to go lower. I think Seth Brown at 3K is a very viable option. I don't know if I would do the Jake Bowers thing because I'm assuming he's just going to turn into Reese Hoskins in like 2 at bats, right? I mean,
especially with Hoskins not in the lineup,
right? So I'm assuming you're not going to be doing that. So I would definitely do Seth Brown if I'm going to that 3K zone. But I think Wisdom is my preferred choice for cash teams, although he probably carries some pinch hit risk as well, but not nearly as high as Bowers.
Yeah, TJ, what are you doing in tournaments today at first?
Michael Toglia is my favorite option, and he also is, I'm going to just tell people, even though without checking how many likes we're at. 65, give me 10 more. Michael Toglia is Spidey Bomb number 2 today, plus 440. And so love him to hit a home run. Him and Seth Brown are my 2 favorite options by very far. If I'm going cheap, it's Brown. If I'm going higher up, it's Toglia. Obviously, you got, I think some of these Dodgers and Atlanta players are super interesting just because you'll never find them at lower ownership. And so if you want to play an Olsen or Ohtani, I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I got a 430 on Toglia at FanDuel. Looks like about the best that I can find for everyone. Everyone else is pretty lower than that. So if you were looking to follow that, I would suggest opening up your FanDuel app for that one. All right, let's go to second base. Tim, just, this is how my lineups are looking. I'm just being honest. It's Cubs, it's A's. Zach Gelof is what? Very reasonably priced on both sites. 2,800 FanDuel, 3,200 on DraftKings. Not a position we are usually spending a lot of money on. Certainly not tonight. A position I'm looking to spend a lot.
The only second baseman that I would spend money on, to be honest with you, is Jose Altuve as part of an Astros stack. But other than that, I would be completely punting the position. Zach Gelof is definitely your first option in cash games. I don't mind Edouard Julien also at 3,300. So I think he's a decent play. But really, this is like an only in stacks type position for me.
Yeah, we're gonna. I said we at 75 likes, I throw out some NFL. I think we're running maybe a smidge behind. So at the end of the show, after we're done talking baseball, or actually no, we're gonna be going till 7:10. We'll have some room at the end, but I'll talk my NFL in a little bit. I just want to make sure we get through all the MLB stuff that we're going to talk about first before I blow hot air for like 5 minutes on the NFL. TJ, second base. If Gelof is going to be, what do we have his ownership as? Him and Julian are basically the 2 plays. I think Gelof will probably be higher than Julian. Our ownership has them neck and neck. I think, I don't know, I'd probably expect more ownership on Gelof than Julian. Maybe I'd flip those 2 around. If everyone's going cheap, would you want to go expensive or would you be on one of those 2?
No, Gelof is my preferred option here too. Like as what we're looking at, I mean, hey, if the projections are wrong, the projections are wrong. But as it stands right now with 5 guys all above 10%, like this is pretty spread apart. So Gelof is my favorite by fairly wide margin. I have no qualms with going up to a Jose Altuve or Ketel Marte for tournaments, but Gelof is going to be my guy today. All
right, third base, Tim. I don't know. Not a position you're probably spending. You have McMahon. You've got a couple things you could probably do there. There are some cheaper options too. You've got Schneemann for the A's if you're looking for a cheap bat today. There are a couple of cheap, like nonsense bats that really help you get reasonable pitching and good bats elsewhere. He's a way to do that on DraftKings. There's another player. Let's see. I don't know if he's multi-position eligible. I think he is on DraftKings. You've got Wagaman for the Angels who got called up today. He's hitting 7th. He's min price on both sites, and he's third base outfield on FanDuel. You might want to consider him somewhere today. Just a position I'm generally don't think I'm not looking to spend. The outfield is too strong. couple pitching. You got to have Gilbert in there, depending on what else you do. I'm just looking to spend on the positions with a strong place today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can, if you're not playing Wisdom at first, you could go to him at third. I don't mind Paredes. I don't mind your take on Schumann batting eighth for Oakland. I don't think that's horrible by any means. Aaron Schunk batting at 3K, batting ninth. I think that's decent as well. But really, I think honestly, you're just staying in Chicago, and you're staying in Oakland for cash games.
Yeah, Wisdom rank the priority of the Cubs players for you? It seems like Wisdom. I'm a little worried on the pinch hit, right? Like 2 at bats from him. I'd rather get. Oh, I mean, Seth Brown can get pinch hit 4 though. So I feel like going between all of those. I guess you are sort of rolling the dice with any of them today. But is Wisdom, because of his price and he's in the starting lineup today, is he one of the priority Cubs bats for you today? It seems like you want him at both first and third.
Yeah, I think you should play Wisdom in cash. That's my opinion. So, I mean, I would rank probably Wisdom, Swanson, Hat, Belly, Suzuki, and then Paredes.
Yep, you can only get so many in, and you're probably not going to have 5 on your cash team on DraftKings, or probably maybe 3 or 2 or 4 or something like that. But yeah, maybe I'll try to find a way to get Wisdom in. I am coming around to him a little bit more. TJ, what are you looking at third base?
Paredes and McMahon are probably my 2 favorites here. For what it's worth, I did switch off my Paredes Swanson team to the McMahon NATO team. I do just like that a little bit better for tournaments today because they're going so much lower owned. McMahon 6% projected ownership today. I think Paredes is going to be well higher than 8%. Those guys are really the only 2 I like at the position a lot. It's a very, very weak position today. I think you could take shots on Matt Chapman batting cleanup. I think if you wanted to go super cheap and punt, you could play Brian Ramos, but Machado's fine, but McMahon and Paredes are my 2 favorites.
All right. Shortstop, Swanson, definitely premier bat today. Now, he does have a reasonable price hike, but he's been hitting much better once he's been up towards the top of the lineup today. Probably one of the premier targets on the slate today. Normally, Tim, this is a position where we're just jammed with some of the best hitters in all of baseball. They're not really there today, so why not take the hitter hitting good in cores with the splits advantage? Sounds like a good play today.
What a world that Dansby Swanson is 3 times projected ownership higher than Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
I mean, what an amazing tournament play Ellie is today at 7%. But Swanson is certainly your cash team shortstop. Obviously I love Ellie. Don't mind Tovar. I mean, no one's going to click on Carlos Correa today at all, batting 6. I think it's his first game back. No one's going to click him for 5,500. So I don't mind him as a play. There's a lot of really, really strong kind of like game theory shortstops on this slate.
I was wondering what all that noise was, TJ. I think we found the culprit.
Yeah, he needed some attention.
There you go. There's some little smoochies for that. So instead of Spidey bombs, we need what can we come up with here?
No, we're still gonna do Spidey bombs. He doesn't want to be the center of attention. He just wanted to be with his dad. But how many likes we got here? Are we close to 100 yet? I do have a third one as soon as we get to 100. But we haven't even reached 75. We're only at 73. Come on, people. Hit that like button.
All right. Shortstop, TJ, tournaments. If Swanson's drawn all the ownership, Tim gave out some good names. Would you want to go on Swanson or somebody else?
Yeah, that's basically he's definitely the top raw points option, but I think basically just anyone else for tournaments is going to come in at low ownership. Dela Cruz, Neto, Adames, Correa, even Tommy Edman, who's been absolutely smashing lately against lefties, I don't think is super crazy. So basically just literally anyone except Swanson in tournaments.
Let's go to the outfield. Tim, you mentioned Yordan Alvarez, right? With Anderson, the lefty, him and Tucker, they both hit lefties good. They get the reverse splits lefty. You'd have to someone much better at database querying than I am to try to figure out if those guys hit reverse split lefties better than a normal lefty. Who really knows how that works? Is Alvarez a priority for you today, or would you prefer to just get more cores, Brent Rooker? How would you be handling that today?
I don't think he's a priority in like cash game settings, but I think he's fantastic. I'd rather prioritize the Cubs. I'm looking at a home run line right now. This is definitely going to be a tater if this is still live. Cody Bellinger plus 625 on BetMGM, plus 540 on FanDuel. But either way, if you can get Bellinger over plus 500, I really like that as a tater. But if you have a BetMGM account, make sure to check that because it says right now it's 625.
Yeah, you can get I got it on Bally's, which is for me circa 600. You can get a 550 on DraftKings for one of the known books or Fanatics. I'm gonna go. I have a secret sports book that's also at plus 600. I'm gonna go get it on that one. I can only bet like 5 cents on MGM, but the secret sports book I can get a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I wouldn't prioritize Houston in cash, but I mean, you certainly can. I wouldn't fault you. But I think like Ian Happ, I'm gonna prioritize more. Cody Bellinger, I'm gonna prioritize more. You could make the argument that you should prioritize Suzuki even more than Tucker and Alvarez, but I mean, it's really a coin flip. But I mean, I'm always going to side with cores for cash games.
Yeah, me too. I definitely like and rank again the Cubs outfielders: Suzuki, Happ, Bellinger.
I think
you got Crow Armstrong. There's a lot of guys you can throw out there today.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Crow Armstrong, fantastic for GPPs. Wouldn't play him in cash, but for cash, if I had to rank the outfielders for Chicago, I'd go Happ, Bellinger, Suzuki.
All right. And then TJ, would you want to be in on the Cubs? Do you want Butler? He was one of your Spidey bombs with Rooker. I mean, outside like those with the Cubs, those are the guys you should be targeting for cash. What do you do about them in tournaments today?
Yeah, I'm going light on those guys in tournaments. Blade, Butler, and Rooker are going to be my three favorites there. Seth Brown also with the outfield if you need to save salary. If I'm spending up, Alvarez is my priority. He's my favorite of the spend up guys. I really like Byron Buxton. I'm trying to get him into my lineup right now and just make sure I could still like it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it work. But Buxton is somebody that I do like quite a bit today. I was going to make him a Spidey bomb, but then all of his odds were terrible. But from a DFS standpoint, he is probably my favorite non-Oakland outfielder, also not named Yordan Alvarez.
All right, let's get into some.
Tucker's not in the lineup.
Oh, he didn't end up making it?
No, he's not in.
All right, so that kind of brings all of Houston down a little bit. I still think Yordan I think Yordan is projected for the highest. He's the highest overall projected RotoGrinders outfielder, the highest projected ownership. Do you think that holds, Tim?
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does, but I'm often wrong versus our algo. So
yeah, versus
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would think the Cubs, like a Happ and a Suzuki, probably beat out Yordan today, right? Tatis is not. What are you doing like Tatis? 5,100. That's a pretty good price on Tatis today.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a fantastic GPP play. But I mean, I would assume that the Cubs come in the highest, followed by Houston in terms of like high end stacks. I think the Cubs and then Oakland and then Houston.
Yeah. So outside on DraftKings, I'm definitely in favor of the good, basically like Lawrence Butler 4,100 is probably around like the lowest I'd really try to go on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Wegman he makes everything work for me on FanDuel today. He's hitting 7th today. Reasonable prospect against maybe a burnout Verlander. Tim, can you give me a blessing to play him at minimum price 2K on FanDuel today, or am I being a bozo?
It doesn't seem necessary to me, but I mean, I guess you can.
It probably isn't necessary, but as I'm hosting and I'm trying to do a bunch of other things too, I think I'm gonna roll with it because I mean I literally love every other single bat that I have in my lineup. I think I'm gonna roll with him as a cheap.
Yeah, do it
and hope for the best. All right, let's take some questions. I'm gonna go to Discord. We'll get some of that. I'll roll into YouTube again. Click the likes. I'll give you some football bets as soon as the questions are done, or at 7:10. We'll hang around for a couple of minutes, guys. So don't try to sneak out on me right at 7:10, TJ. We're going to stick around for a couple extra minutes and talk football. All right, questions.
You say things like this because you're on one show today. This is my fourth, and I've written 3 articles, and then I'm on 6 NFL shows tomorrow.
You asked to do that. You asked to do all of this, TJ.
No, I didn't.
All right, Jay wants to know FanDuel single entry 2v2. So Tim, this is right up your alley. I'm going to go to you. He's already stacking Oakland. Do you want De La Cruz and Jordan or Swanson and Marte?
I'd go the first one.
Yeah, De La Cruz and Jordan seems like definitely an absolute smash if those are your 2 options, Jay. Again, FanDuel single entry 3,000 or less. So I'll pull that up over here real quick. Let's see what we can get under $3,000 on FanDuel. TJ, let me roll that to you first. I've got it up on the screen. I hopeful for you, sorted by fantasy points. What do you got here?
Butler.
Yeah, Butler for sure would be mine.
Butler
Blade.
1, then Blade 2, then
it's all the A's.
3, then Brown 4.
Yeah, it really falls off. I would like it's literally Butler, probably Butler, Langoliers, Blade, Brown. Geloff is down here too, but he would fall by. Like if I'm just looking at those guys, Geloff he's nice because he's second base eligible, so you want to use him there. But if I'm at a utility, Tim, I want all these other A's over him today.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of selections in that price range. I do agree the A's are the best, but don't forget about like Hunter Goodman either, or like Cronenworth for GPPs. So really, that range is pretty loaded.
Edmund crushing lefties or righties lately? I don't know. Not the slate to use Edmund for me today, right? All right, going to go to YouTube. That looks like we ran out of questions on the Discord. You can still post in there. I'll circle back. Let's see. TJ, it looks like you've been pretty active in the chat. Any of the specific questions you want to talk about in general? You've been answering for the people one-on-one, but anything specific you want to bring up there before I start firing away?
Just make sure if you have questions coming forward, if you're throwing extra ones in there, specify what site you're looking for, specify what type of contest. That does help a lot. There's been a lot of just kind of vague questions in there. And so saves time and gives you a better answer if you're very specific with your questions.
All right. Tim, someone wants a FanDuel pitcher not named Ginn for 8,000 or less. What are we doing over there? Verlander's 8K, probably Nick Martinez at 7,800. I could also convince myself on a Woods Richardson if I close my eyes, but I'd probably go Martinez, Verlander, Richardson there if I'm not playing.
That's the same order that I would go by too, Brett.
All right. Let's see. Yep, TJ said Martinez too. FanDuel tournament favorite pitcher. To me, it's definitely, even with the weather lessening in Atlanta, Gilbert's my guy. Tim, would you put Sale or Flaherty over Gilbert with maybe some of these weather concerns now for a tournament if Roth is a little clearer that the game might play?
Right. I was going to pitch Flaherty like all day today. So I think like large field, you don't care about the weather, you're willing to take the risk. I think it's Flaherty for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. I'm just looking at, something happened to the ownership. Whatever Gilbert's ownership is, I might boost it up a little bit. And I think Sale and Flaherty will probably be a little bit lower. I don't know if it's my connection or whatnot. I'll try to bring some of this up here. Chalky or A's or Cubs? This is interesting because you want to play the Cubs, but to get the Cubs, you have to play the A's. So who's going to end up taking the cake there, TJ?
I think Cubs by a little bit.
What do you think, Tim?
I agree. I think the Cubs will be a little bit higher owned, but they're both going to be very popular.
All right. So yeah, I went back to FanDuel. Gilbert is home, not doubling up, but he's basically the ownership of Flaherty and Sale combined. That seems pretty reasonable to me with some of the weather concerns. So you were saying, Tim, if Flaherty is the third lowest of all of those, you would try to jump him off the GPP ranks, especially with the weather improving seemingly according to Roth, correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. So I just wanted to run that logic through everybody here. How chalky is Ginn? Ginn's not super chalky. I believe, I know Tim's preferred SP2 on DraftKings was Musgrove. And I'm throwing Ginn out there. I think Musgrove will be the popular pairing with Gilbert on DraftKings. I just wanted a couple more bats out there today. We currently have that projection on DraftKings I'll refresh and get the latest. I think ownership projections ran somewhat recently. I think he was around 14 or 15% in the latest run, coming in at 13.5%. So basically everybody. What are people doing with Verlander today? Is he gonna, because he has the name, is he gonna draw that ownership? And he's cheap, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the name and he's got the matchup. And so we have him at 16%. That's probably, I was thinking like 20. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't really trust Verlander. He's not the same guy that he once was. I know he has a fantastic matchup and he's cheap, but I don't know. I'd rather go to Musgrove. I'd rather go to Ginn or punt with,
Ginn over Verlander straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough, but
both
Ginn
the
for me.
projections. I think the bat had him a little higher, had Verlander a little higher, but I'm on Ginn straight up over Verlander today. What about you, TJ?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Me too. Ginn for me too.
All right, so that's a sweep for us across the board on that one. Let's see if we can get a couple more. Just trying to see. I don't really see too many other questions. Let me circle back to Discord. Don't really see any.
Justin Barton asking in YouTube. Sorry if you guys covered this and I missed it, but asking about the Angels. I love the Angels for tournaments. They're one of my favorite tournament stacks.
Yeah, against Verlander, right? If Verlander is going to carry that 20%, I would absolutely be on board with that. Tim, do you give that a thumbs up?
For the Angels in tournaments, absolutely, I do.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
I
like Seattle also against Max. Like nobody's going to play Seattle, and it's going to be like essentially, I don't know, 3 or 4 innings of Max, and the rest of the game's bullpen.
Suzuki or Bellinger? I would have Suzuki first. Tim, I think you've been putting Suzuki last amongst all your Cubs today.
I'm kind of more with the Bellinger, but I get it. You know, Suzuki has the platoon advantage, but I'm more of a Bellinger believer.
All right, TJ, break the tie.
Suzuki.
All right, 2-1. Usually I get on the wrong end of the tiebreakers when I do things like that because Tim's usually right and I'm usually wrong, and TJ breaks the tie the other way.
And if I don't know, and if I'm not sure, I usually just side with Tim.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do anyway. All right, let's just a couple football bets. So I'm not on. I watched you last week, Tim, with Dean and Mr. Bobby Gomes. So that was a fun show. You're going to be back again at 9:30, kicking it off again.
Sure will. Yep.
All right, I'll be in there. Hopefully, there's no arrests outside of, or not arrests, no police stoppages. I don't have to play news reporter in the chat to TJ trying to figure out what's going on with Tyreek Hill. But I posted on Twitter. I guess one of the bets I'm really on this week is the over in the Buccaneers game. It's at 51 or 51.5. A lot of the Tampa Bay defense is out. Lions are at home. I think Baker Mayfield can put up points against Detroit too. 51 seems a little low. That's one of my currently favorite bets that's still available at some of the lines that I've recently posted. You can also on FanDuel bet both. This is a combo bet. I did this with the Lions running backs last year. They were giving David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both at plus money for a large majority of the season. So you just bet on either one of them. Put bets on both of them to score. And you come out on top if one of them scores, and then if they both score, it's like a windfall. So I did that with the Chargers running backs this week between Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They're like plus 160 and plus 190. So I think one of those was probably going to get in, and if they both score, I mean, you're just that's a big victory lap on that. So there's a couple 2 strategies for me. Tim,
I don't know if it's available on any books, but it's available as a pick 'em play on both Underdog and Prize Picks. Cooper Kupp more than 11.5 targets just seems like the easiest thing on the board because if it was 15.5, I would still want to take the over on that.
Yeah.
Where did you see that, TJ?
Underdog and Prize Picks.
Nice.
I'll
Yeah.
go.
Not if it's available in any betting places. The only website I can use here doesn't have targets as a bettable thing. So
Yeah, his receptions is at 8, so to get targets at 11.5 seems pretty off. So I'm going to go hammer that on Underdog. Underdog, if any of you are in New York and you thought all of the Underdog type sites got taken away, Underdog is back in New York. I didn't realize this till maybe like a week or two ago. So if you are in New York and you like those, you can get back on Underdog. It seems like they're back in here. Tim, you got anything you were looking at for football real quick?
I have not done any bets yet, Brett, for football, so I have to look into that later tonight.
All right.
Rashi Rice over 67.5 receiving yards. That's my
I got that on Scores and Odds. And speaking of, you are currently talking to the leader in the clubhouse at Scores and Odds, up over 11.5 units so far through the season. I want to give the whole team at Scores and Odds. They were up, myself included, it was like 32 something units over the first week of football, which is almost pretty impossible to do. I think we gave a little bit back on the Thursday night game here with the Bills and the Dolphins, but looking forward to another solid week in there.
Where are you guys on the RotoGrinders competition for the belt?
What is that? Is that just the Splash Sports, or is that the
Splash Sports one where we have to pick the spread on every game.
Yeah, I mean that's like 1 week, so we'll after like 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, how'd you do on 1 week?
Oh, you must be at the top, right?
I'm in second.
Oh, second. All right. We'll see that. I did a lot on the Splash, so I've got like 6 or 7 things I got to fill out, probably later tonight or in the morning. Anyway, make sure to tune in 9:30 tomorrow morning. You'll see Tim's beautiful face on there, along with Dean and Bobby. Other than that, and there'll be a bunch of other shows running all the way through up to lineup block. Other than that, have fun tonight. For Tim and TJ, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, and we out you.